What's up, legends? Today is a big day. My name is Hotsick, pro player and coach for Team Liquid. Today, the media embargo is lifted of Season 9 Apex Legends, and I got to play a ton of it, and I'm going to be putting out a lot of content between today and tomorrow, pretty much sharing a lot of my thoughts on top of a lot of things you should know going into it, because there's a lot of stuff in this season. There's a whole new game mode, there's a new weapon, a whole new character, Olympus changes. There's a lot in this season, and there's a lot to talk about. This video is going to be primarily on Valkyrie and a little bit of guide how to play her. This is going to be an intro into me in general, making guides. So if you enjoy this type of educational content, make sure to subscribe if you like it. Definitely leave a like, it helps a lot. I've been killing myself over these videos in the last week, so it would mean a lot to me if you did. But I also want to mention that if you've been following my stream over at twitch.tv/Hotsick or my socials, I do have a Gibraltar guide coming. I promise you, I know I've been teasing it for like a month and a half, 2 months. It is almost done. It will be released next week after this slur of videos right here. So if you want a very, very in-depth guide on how to play Gibraltar, make sure to subscribe so you see that. This guide won't be as in-depth as that one will be, since I had very limited time to play and capture footage. But I think I got a pretty good beat on Valkyrie. I'm going to be giving all my thoughts on how her abilities work, so I can kind of give you a bit of a quick rundown on things you need to look out for and how to kind of play around them. What kind of role / playstyle she fulfills, so you can jump into Season 9 knowing kind of what playstyle to embody. Weapons that are good with her. Is the new bow good with her? I don't know. We'll find out. You got to keep watching. And then I'll be giving you my final thoughts and impressions on the character overall, which is going to be vastly different than any other character that's been released. Let's start with Valkyrie's abilities. We'll begin with her passive, or should I say one of 3 passives, because alongside her jetpack, she can also scan beacons and scan enemies while in the air. I didn't manage to test the full numbers, but it seemed like if you held the jetpack down fully, you could get about 1.5 times the verticality Horizon's Lift would normally give you. Fuel consumption is an important thing to manage, however, as it recharges very slowly. A full burn to empty takes just about 7 seconds to deplete the tank fully, whereas it takes just over 8 seconds to start even refueling, and it goes pretty slowly after that. The refuel cooldown timer is going to be 8 seconds regardless of how much fuel you've used, so make sure to be eco-friendly and monitor that gas usage. Now onto the fun stuff with the jetpack. Valkyrie's jetpack boasts a lot of crazy new movement tech. One thing that's very important to notice is you get almost near perfect movement while in the air, being able to rotate all around all you want without losing momentum like you would in a crypto drone. This is useful because she's already kind of a clay pigeon when she's in the air, so being able to have a maneuverability is definitely a nice little touch. The movement speed you get while you're in the air is equal to that of being at full sprint. Additionally, every time you activate the jetpack, it costs extra fuel than the normal burn, but it gives you not only a directional boost in the direction you're facing, it fully allows you to shift your momentum with no penalty. However, keep in mind that every time you do the boost, or even turn the jetpacks on, there is a bit of an animation, so it's not like she'll be beaming you out of the air like Horizon would. Now let's talk about Valk's tactical ability, Missile Swarm. Initially hearing about this ability, it scared me the most, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way. An AoE missile barrage that does damage and stuns anything it hits. However, after playing around with her and also against her, it's actually not as threatening as it seems. Don't get it twisted though, it's still a really strong ability. The damage itself is pretty negligible, as I think it only hits for around 25, but it's the slow that's the scary part. However, hitting a missile swarm isn't as easy as you'd think. I think in the entirety of my 3-hour time with Valkyrie, I'm not sure I even hit one or got hit by one. It's a very telegraphed ability and you're given plenty of time to escape it. I noticed that the angle at which you shoot matters pretty heavily as well. If someone was hiding specifically from me on the other side of cover, I tried to lob missiles on them behind it, and it was almost impossible to actually hit them without getting into the air or getting another angle. This leads me to believe that the ability will be used more as a zoning tool that happens to stun you pretty hard if you disrespect it, almost kind of similar to a mini Bangalore ult. Pull. One deceiving attribute to the ability, however, is how long the animation is when you launch the rockets. At first, it's a bit deceiving because it leads you to believe that you have to keep staring at your target to aim the rockets, because it takes a couple seconds for all of them to fully fly out. However, all you have to do is actually hit the button and then you can turn instantly, ignoring the entire animations, but your missiles will still hit where you were aiming. The only limiting factor to her tactical is the height above you. If there's a small ceiling above you, the rockets won't launch as seen in this clip in Bonsai. However, if you're right out in the hallway where the ceiling is slightly higher, it will work, so you don't need that crazy of a height. I'm backing up. I'm gonna Phoenix. Something I didn't manage to actually record myself, but was told by Albrily was that you were actually able to enter a Gibraltar bubble, launch your rockets, and since they're in the bubble, they just stun everything inside, which could be a super useful tool against Jibby teams, considering how freely you can move once you hit the button. Overall, it's still a strong tactical with purpose, but it's not as scary as you might think. It definitely felt like the most underwhelming ability from her, but it's still strong. And that finally brings us to Valkyrie's ult. It's a fairly straightforward ability. Valkyrie turns the jets on, allows her team to latch onto her, and then she flies straight up into the air and acts the same as a jump tower. There is a bit of a delay when you hit the button until you actually launch, meaning you have to be in a pretty safe area to actually launch. However, if I remember correctly, I didn't manage to get any footage of it, you can couple this with the Gibraltar dome and you'll be mostly covered until you launch. But I do think there's a short window where Valkyrie herself is a bit exposed. This is on a 3-minute cooldown, and according to some loose math, it shoots you up roughly 185 meters before you redeploy. This can be important information for when you're not sure if your ult will get you over certain walls on whichever map you're on. If you cancel the ult before you actually launch into the air, it will just bring you back to 75% ult charge. I'll just say it right now, this ability alone makes her absolutely meta. The rest of her kit could be completely trash, and this would still make her an attractive pick. The importance of being able to rotate in battle royales can mean life or death for your squad. Couple this with her passive that scans all enemies that she can see in the air, and it instantly makes her the absolute best pick by far for rotating your team safely. For those wondering, the scan range is roughly 200 meters, and yes, your whole team sees the enemies you mark. One important note is that unlike Bloodhound and Crypto scans, your enemy actually has no idea that you have visual of them. However, her ult is really loud and super easy to hear coming. There's not much more to say about this ability. It's a super cool and unique ability, and I love the design. However, I'm just worried how rough it can make third parties on maps like Kings Canyon and Olympus, which already have said issues. Obviously, we didn't get to try it on World's Edge, but I feel like she might not be able to actually get over those walls as easily as the other two maps. Just a hunch though. Now let's discuss her role a little bit and how she's going to fit in with the rest of the game. I don't think Valkyrie will have any kind of crazy new playstyle. In fact, I kind of see her being played exactly like a support Pathfinder. You're not necessarily full sending, nor are you really able to get that crazy entry damage, but her passive gives her an incredible potential to take height and angles that teams won't see coming to help her capitalize on her own teammates' entry damage. Their insane ability to reposition herself and the zoning capabilities from her missile swarm, she's going to be able to control fights to a devastating degree. Typically, this type of playstyle will call for a long to medium range primary and a shotgun for close range fights. I do think we'll be in a bit of a shotgun meta, seeing how we have Mastiff Eva and the Peacekeeper on the ground now. You'll probably see me running Scout / R3 in a shotgun, as I think that's like a perfect loadout for support fraggers, which I think she is. She's also a great candidate for grabbing a sniper and trying to get entry damage that way, given how great she is at getting angles. Her hitbox is right up on par with most of the other cast of Legends, so dueling weapons like Wingmen would be a solid choice for her as well if you're just trying to W key. And to answer my own question from earlier, yes, the bow is fantastic on her. I think it'll be a very good support weapon overall because of its crazy damage output, and straight speed is pretty nuts on it too, so if you're a demon with it up close, it's gonna be a really good weapon overall. You do have to still play carefully with her passive because, as mentioned before, you are a very easy target despite the movement she can pull off. I usually try not to be super quick to call metas without trying everything first, but I can easily see the meta turning to a Jibby / Valk / Octane or Wraith setup almost indefinitely. I love that she'll shake up the meta for sure, but I can't imagine running a team comp without her, so I kind of dislike how forced she probably will be. Let me give you my final closing thoughts and my overall impressions. Do I think Valkyrie is broken? No, I don't think she's broken. I think she's extremely broken. As fun as she is, I do believe her kit has just too much going on, and she is hard encroaching on the concept of power creep. Power creep, if you don't know, is essentially the idea that as an ability-based game continues adding new characters, you start to have characters that just do way more than the existing ones that have been in the game, and they fulfill multiple roles, simply outclassing the old characters. We experienced power creep a bit back with Caustic, Gibraltar, and, in my opinion, still a little bit Bloodhound. It's nice to see that the balanced team is at least paying attention and reeling back when they need to. It's nice to see that the balanced team is at least paying attention and reeling back when they need to. I am, though, on the side that when a new character comes out, I think I'd much prefer them to be a little bit broken compared to being very bad. I think I speak for everyone when I say that Respawn does a very good job at building hype and creating a world around new characters that are entering in it. And then when they are released and they just suck, it makes the season really feel like it falls flat. So I'd rather they kind of release a brand new character that's good and then quickly reel them back a little bit if they need to. than a character that just is absolutely awful. See Fuse and Revenant on release. But anyways, I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have 2 others coming out today. Both of them will be around Arena. One will be an Arena overview. The other one will be an Arena Legend tier list. And I think you'll have some surprises on there. So just go watch those if you'd like to see what the heck is going on with those arenas. But if you really enjoyed this one, please consider subscribing and let me know what I could do better. Gibraltar Guide's coming next week. I still have time to kind of mix it up a little bit, shift it around. It's going to be a little bit more in-depth than this one was because I have more time on Gibraltar. But we do have that coming in a week. Again, and also let me know what you'd like to see in the future. This is my first entry into making guides, and I'd love to know what you want to see more of. So all that in the comments or my socials. Speaking of, go follow them, twitch.tv/Hotsick and twitter.com/Hotsick. Thank you, though. Love you guys. Hope you have a good one, and enjoy all the content that's being dropped today from all the creators.